Mr. Speaker, sir, which is evidently a consequential bill to the budget of 2020 and 2021, of which majority of the opposition side of the House did not support, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, before I deliberate on the contents of the bill, and also my colleagues on this side of the House, I would like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister, how can you still continue to not take any action on another blunder by the Honourable Minister of Economy? I have stood in this August House and stated, Mr. Speaker, sir, that if government and those empowered to make decisions to the nations are not equipped or qualified to do so, then this country will suffer from not only embarrassing oversights like this, as we see before us today, but we will not see any real growth in our economic development. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Minister for Economy has tried to downplay this blunder by introducing this bill under the Standing Orders 51, stating that some necessary supporting economic activities were inadvertently left out when the budget was passed last month, Mr. Speaker, sir. So is this bill another act of retrospective approval by this House, Mr. Speaker, sir? As we see in the explanatory note, the effective date of this bill is 1st August 2021, and it is now 19th August, Mr. Speaker, sir. This is another retrospective approval act by the Honourable Minister, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I must say, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Fiji First government has been making wrong calculations on our economic viability for many years now. Maybe sleeping on the job too. And COVID-19 has brought this truth home, Mr. Speaker, sir. I make this statement not only as a politician, but someone with some financial background who knows that the budget books provided year in, year out are usually misrepresented and often mismatched, Mr. Speaker, sir. That is why I've said on various occasions that usually the devil is always in the detail. Mr. Speaker, sir, these various actions and amendments to the Income Tax Act, as we stand to correct today, show many pictures. One is that government has lost the plot and are trying very hard to deny the real state of affairs we are in, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, does this mean their OMRS system is not working and they have now taught civil servants the art of manipulating books? Mr. Speaker, sir, I am on record to having warned this House in 2014 that cooking books will end up as catastrophic as anything. The Asian financial meltdown, the US financial crash, were all because some officials decided to paint rosy pictures when the reality is there are very little revenue streams and government policies were failing. For example, Mr. Speaker, sir, the gross domestic value, the nominal gross domestic value, or GDP, Mr. Speaker, sir, captured in the budget book, and I hope the Honourable Minister will take note of this. The nominal gross domestic value captured in the budget book for the 2021 and 2022 budget shows a figure of 9.9 billion. This is very different from what is reflected in the economic and fiscal update for the year 2020, 2021 and 2022. For the year 2021, the nominal GDP forecast was 9.5 billion, and for the year 2022, it is reflected at 10.3 billion. And this is unacceptable, Mr. Speaker, sir. Unacceptable. Mr. Speaker, sir, in any country, such blunders we are facing today, we will be seeing head rollings. And I wonder whose head will roll this time around, Mr. Speaker, sir. For a country that boasts a booming economy for the past years, we have very little to show of our economic viability. We have to shamefully rely on foreign governments to assist prop up our national budget. And I must repeat, if you do not know how to run government, step down and stop pretending. Because our arrogance and ignorance is painful to the ordinary citizens of this country. Because they are the ones whose pantries at home are empty and children's stomachs empty. Leading a nation is not a child's play. If you assumed it was and enjoyed the perks that came with it for many years, then it's time for you to go off quietly and enjoy those millions you've amassed and allow the poor citizens of this country to pick up the pieces and rebuild Fiji slowly. The blunders, Mr. Speaker, sir, we stand to correct today is an issue of credibility and lack of independence. It shows creative accounting, and such shoddy work reflect deep-rooted intentions to misrepresent. For example, Mr. Speaker, sir, why is it that they are not reflecting these amendments in the tax policy measures tabled in the fiscal update, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, there is no way in the world that we can accept such blunders. I and my colleagues from this side of the House cannot and will never support this bill because the red flags is now showing up early, and it should be a lesson for everyone. And then you try to do something discreetly, your mishaps will catch up with you. This Bill 30, I wonder what other bills will require changes to support the philosophy behind the budget 2020, 21 and 22, Mr. Speaker, sir. For example, students and social welfare recipients are now being asked to take the jab, or they will not access government support. Is this covered under the law, Mr. Speaker, sir? If I note correctly, the only law that was amended requiring mandatory vaccination was made through the Health and Safety at Work, General Workplace Conditions Amendment Regulations 2021, where the Honorable Prime Minister stated, no jabs, no jobs. So are social welfare recipients and students considered workers or employees? Which ones, Mr. Speaker, sir? Mr. Speaker, sir, with the silence, I rest my case. It is obvious that government will come back with more amendments using Standing Orders 51. Let me just finish, Mr. Speaker, sir, by saying one cannot pretend to be a know-it-all. As leaders, you have to learn to listen, discuss, and dialogue. Expand your group of consultants and advisors, and do not limit it to your own favorite people.
Tell them.
That's the rule of thumb. Because for leaders, what will happen is your staff, your people, will end up giving you what they know you like to hear. Or they will ask you, how high should I jump? How high should I jump? And thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I thank the honourable member. I give the floor to the Honourable Professor Bimin Prasad. You have the floor.
Thank you,